In a small mud brick house in Ibadan, a young boy named Emeka lived with his mother, Mama Chinyere. Life was hard, but his dreams were far bigger than the little house they called home. His father had died years earlier, and his mother carried the burden of raising him alone. She sold firewood in the local market from morning till night just to buy food. Many evenings, the house was quiet except for the dim glow of a kerosene lantern. Emeka would sit by the light, reading old textbooks that had been passed from hand to hand. His clothes were worn out, but his eyes carried a fire of determination. His mother often encouraged him with gentle words. "My son, life will not always give you what you want, but with hard work and patience, doors will open." Every morning, he helped her carry bundles of firewood before walking to the community library. In his heart, he knew Ibadan was only the beginning. One day, Lagos, the city of endless opportunities, would be his destination. One hot afternoon, Emeka packed a small bag and boarded a bus to Lagos. His mother held his hand tightly before he left. Her eyes were filled with tears of both pride and worry. "Go and make me proud, Emeka, but never forget where you come from," she whispered. The bus rattled down the expressway, passing farmlands, villages, and towns. Hours later, Lagos came into view. Emeka pressed his face against the window, amazed at the tall buildings, the sea of yellow buses, and the endless crowd of people chasing their daily survival. When he stepped off at Oshodi Park, the noise and energy of Lagos hit him like a storm. Bus conductors shouted, traders pushed goods in wheelbarrows, and motorcycles sped past recklessly. Emeka gripped his small bag tightly and took a deep breath. "This is it," he told himself. "This is where my story begins." But he had no idea how tough the city of dreams could be. At first, Emeka stayed with a cousin in Mushin. Each day, he wore his only neat shirt and walked from office to office, searching for work. But most times, he was turned away before he could even speak. At other times, he was told to leave his details, but no one ever called back. His cousin soon grew tired of housing him. "You cannot keep roaming around with empty dreams," he warned one night. Determined not to give up, Emeka started taking small jobs, washing cars, carrying heavy loads in the market, anything to earn a little money. But the money was too small to cover food and transport. Many nights, he went to bed hungry, staring at the ceiling and whispering, "This city will not defeat me." One evening, while walking through Yaba, Emeka ran into two old schoolmates. They were well-dressed, holding expensive phones, and looking very comfortable. They welcomed him warmly, laughed together, and listened as he shared his struggles. One of them, Kunal, leaned closer and said, "Don't worry, we will show you how to make quick money." Emeka followed them for a while, believing he had found brotherhood in the city. But when one of their shady businesses failed, they disappeared and left it behind to face angry men who demanded answers. That night, with bruises on his body and nowhere to go, Emeka wandered the streets. His cousin refused to let him back into the house. Alone and broken, he realized Lagos could be colder than he had ever imagined. With no home, Emeka joined other homeless boys under the Oshodi bridge. They spread out torn cartons on the floor and used old nylon bags as pillows. The air was filled with exhaust fumes, roasted corn smoke, and the endless shouting of bus conductors even at midnight. He hugged his small bag to his chest. Inside were his only shirt, a notebook, and the dream that still refused to die. Though the city had beaten him down, he whispered into the darkness, "Mama did not raise me to quit. My story will change." But as the days passed, his hope grew thinner. One afternoon, weak from hunger, Emeka collapsed while trying to carry a load for a trader in the market. When he opened his eyes, he was lying on a mat inside a small wooden shop. Beside him sat Madame Funk, a kind food vendor. She had seen him faint and quickly brought him in. She placed a plate of rice and beans in front of him. "Eat, my son. You look like you have not eaten in days," she said softly. Tears filled Emeka's eyes as he ate. For the first time in weeks, someone cared. Madame Funk listened to his story and shook her head. "Life in Lagos is hard, but it rewards those who do not give up. Come tomorrow and help me in the shop. At least you will not go hungry." That day marked a turning point in his journey. From the next day, Emeka began working with Madam Funk. He swept the shop, washed plates, served customers, and learned how to cook her popular beans and plantain. At first, he felt ashamed, but later he realized that dignity was not in the size of the job, but in the effort. As he watched other traders, mechanics, carpenters, and tailors, he saw that small skills could build big lives. One evening, after closing, Madam Funk said to him, "Emeka, you're hardworking. Don't stop here. Learn a skill that can carry you further." Her words stayed with him. That night, under a dim bulb, he wrote in his notebook, "I will not die with dreams. I will learn a skill that will change my life." Through a customer at the food stand, Emeka was introduced to a small printing press in Surulere. They needed someone to run errands and clean. Without hesitation, he accepted. Though the pay was very small, Emeka treated the place as if it was his own. He watched closely as workers designed posters and flyers on computers, and as machines pressed colorful prints onto paper. At night, after everyone had gone home, he practiced on an old desktop in the corner. At first, he made many mistakes, but slowly he learned how to type, draw shapes, and create designs. One evening, the manager walked in quietly and saw him practicing. Instead of scolding him, he nodded and said, "You have potential, Emeka. Keep learning. This might open big doors one day." For the first time since he came to Lagos, Emeka felt real hope. Months later, Emeka was no longer just the errand boy. Customers noticed how polite he was and how carefully he delivered their jobs. One day, a businessman came to complain about a poorly designed flyer. Everyone else was busy, so Emeka offered to help. Nervously, he sat down at the computer and made corrections. Within minutes, the flyer looked professional and sharp. The businessman was impressed. "Who taught you this?" he asked. Emeka replied quietly, "I taught myself." From that day, more customers asked for him directly. His work began to speak for him, and slowly his name started to grow. As Emeka's skills improved, old friends came back into his life. They were dressed in fine clothes, driving cars, and flashing expensive phones. They mocked his printing press work and told him he was wasting his time. "Join us," one of them said. "Quick money is better than all this suffering. Look at us, life is sweet." For a moment, Emeka was tempted. He still lived in a small room, ate little, and worked long hours for little pay. The fast road looked attractive. But that night, he held his mother's photograph and remembered her words. "Hard work and patience will open doors." By morning, his mind was made up. He returned to the printing press and focused on his designs. The fast way was not for him. One day, a large company came to the printing press. They needed someone to handle the design and printing for a huge event, but the deadline was short and the work was complex. Everyone else hesitated, but Emeka stepped forward with quiet confidence. For days, he worked tirelessly, sleeping only a few hours each night. He poured all his skill and creativity into the project. When it was finally completed, the results were outstanding. The company was so impressed that they insisted on meeting the young man behind the work. During that meeting, they awarded him an even bigger contract, this time directly in his own name. With the money he earned, Emeka decided it was time to take a bold step. He opened his own small printing and design company. At first, it was just a tiny office with a few machines, but his reputation spread quickly. More clients came, bigger opportunities arrived, and soon his company grew beyond what he had ever imagined. The boy who once slept under bridges was now the proud owner of a successful business. Emeka had finally carved a place for himself in Lagos, and his success was only beginning. Years later, Emeka was no longer just a young designer. He had become the proud owner of a thriving printing and design company in Lagos. His name was known in business circles, and his success story inspired many. One bright morning, he drove back to Ibadan in his own car, carrying gifts and a heart full of gratitude. As he entered the familiar streets of his childhood, neighbors stared in surprise. The boy they once saw carrying firewood and wearing worn-out clothes was now a successful businessman. When Emeka stepped into his mother's compound, Mama Chinyere broke down in tears. She held him tightly and whispered, "You did it, my son. You made me proud." Without delay, Emeka renovated her house, set up a small shop for her comfort, and gathered the young people in the community to share his story. He encouraged them never to give up, no matter how hard life seemed. His journey had been full of hunger, betrayal, and sleepless nights, but it ended with success and fulfillment. Emeka's life became proof that with hard work, patience, and faith, even the smallest dream can grow into greatness. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring stories.